Here's a question that I actually have no idea the answer to, but I know that the first generation, and correct me if I'm wrong, of the GLP-1 drugs was semaglutide, but now they have these newer ones, right, that are more broad in terms of their effect. There's tirzepatide, there's retatrutide, if I recall correctly. Mm-hmm. Yeah, are any of them safer from the standpoint of muscle health?
I don't know. I think it's really in the dosing. And I also actually paradoxically believe that the GLP-1s are going to be good for skeletal muscle mass health, but it's the amount that we're using, because GLP-1s, they're incretins, and it affects the brain, it slows gastric emptying, protein is considered nature's GLP-1, which interestingly at a dose of 30 grams or higher, maybe it has something to do with leucine, I don't know. But I do think that they are here to stay and there is utility for them, especially when it comes to the health of skeletal muscle. Yes, it helps with food noise. Yes, it helps with all these other things, but I do think that it can help with intermuscular adipose tissue. And we're going to start to see more of that. But again, we don't have good sensitive markers on a population level to be able to test for these things. DEXA looks at lean body mass, body fat, and bone. And that's where the challenge becomes, because it's what difference, again, interpersonal do you expect to see between study participants? You don't expect it to be very sensitive.
Yeah.
So we don't have a great answer, but we do know, going back to what people can do, we know that reorienting their nutrition, there's a million different ways to do it well. But I do think that if we chase less novelty, we can double down on foundational health principles, which again, this is the plate. I put this in the playbook. It is the plate of how we look at it visually. And we went back and forth. We're like, do we track calories? Do we not? But we've been trying to do that. So let's give people something different.
Yeah.
And then how to actually think about dosing carbohydrates for muscle health. Because I haven't heard that talked about. Have you? That there's a carbohydrate threshold for dosing for muscle health. There's something called the Randall hypothesis. Have you heard of that? Randall hypothesis is that fatty acids dominate metabolism. Well, not necessarily. If you give enough carbohydrates dominate metabolism. And it's, are you burning fat or are you burning carbohydrates? And if you have a ton of carbohydrates, you force your body into the position to burn that. You shouldn't do that. Don't force your suitcase closed, right? It's just messy and it's all kinds of problems. You're probably going to ruin your clothes. Don't do that. And it's understanding that in order to have healthy muscle tissue, you have to not be sedentary. And that is the primary goal, whether it's resistance training, whether it's high intensity, whether it's cardiovascular. You have to maintain both type 1 and type 2 fibers.
Yeah. I'm a fan of carbohydrates. I think that they're great.
Then you need to buy some for your house so I can come next time, because it's brutal.
What favorite sources? Like, give me a shopping
potato.
list.
I went to dinner with the Krishners yesterday.
All right, next time you come over, I'm gonna have a baked potato ready for you.
And Leanne, I love you guys. And we ordered baked potatoes. I was like, they're like, do you eat that? I'm like, in fact, give me 2. Just kidding. I ate half, because that's about 30 grams of this baked potato. And then I ate a 6-ounce filet. And then I had 3 bites of dessert.
It sounds like a perfect meal to me.
It was.
Yeah.
Not hard. There's only one way to do it wrong.
It's just hard to find like quick access sources of carbs that aren't also loaded with added fats. You know what I'm saying? Like a baked potato is pure starch.
Yeah.
I could have made some rice for you. Give me a heads up next time.
Max, never. It's not going to happen. You're just going to give me those protein chips and I'll just have to be happy with it. But also, again, if something is high in fiber, I'm not as concerned about it. But if it is low in fiber, white, like rice and pasta, all that stuff, you have to be very careful about and intentional. How are you eating for muscle health? I don't care about obesity. It's true. But I do care because it's much easier to gain fat than it is to build muscle. It's kind of a design flaw. But again, how do we shift the conversation to focus on muscle health? We know that we have to train. And, women and men, you don't have to actually train heavy. You have to provide enough stimulus to get that tissue healthy.
Well, it makes sense from an evolutionary standpoint that it would be more difficult to build and maintain muscle, because muscle is metabolically expensive. I mean, you've talked about this on, many times, that muscle burns calories, not a huge amount of additional calories, but it does burn extra calories just sitting on your frame. And back prior to food security being something that we as a species were able to secure for ourselves, that was a risky proposition, because it's, muscle is it's expensive to maintain.
Yet now we're here, and now we know what we have to do if you want to age well. Alzheimer's, type 3 diabetes of the brain, it doesn't start in the brain. It starts with the health of muscle, because as we become more metabolically deranged, elevated triglycerides, elevated glucose, this affects, when I was at WashU, I don't know if we've talked about this, but part of my research was looking at body composition and brain function. Did you know that?
I think, probably, yeah.
Okay, so I imaged
you're amazing.
I paid him to say that, guys. So I was imaging these people's brains, and the heavier they were, the less muscle mass they had, the worse their brain volume. And it wasn't it doesn't start as an obesity problem. It starts as a muscle problem. And even those individuals that were, quote, skinny fat with low skeletal muscle all had abnormal metabolism. This is all about reorienting ourselves to a more impactful conversation, and especially in the landscape of the use of GLP-1s. We are going to see sarcopenia earlier and earlier and more often. With sarcopenia comes osteoporosis. Low muscle mass is a possible indicator of low bone density. I don't know about you, but I think that the idea of having a frail future, that's terrifying.
Yeah. No, your observations are completely consistent with the literature that I've seen linking frailty to increased risk for Alzheimer's disease. Even going to dietary food questionnaires, higher levels of protein seem to be, and animal protein actually specifically seem to be linked to reduced shrinkage of the hippocampus, a slowing of the atrophy rate of the hippocampus. That was a recent study that came out. There's all kinds of data now, painting a fairly clear picture for us that, everything that you're saying checks out from the standpoint of aging well, especially with regards to the brain. So
more to come. The intermuscular adipose tissue is going to be the next thing. Mark my words. Intermuscular adipose tissue. We have to get really good at figuring out the numbers and the influence of that, the dietary influence, the exercise influence, just really, really specific, and the treatment protocols. And does hormone replacement therapy help that? At what level do GLP-1s work? And also, can we talk about my playbook before we leave?
Absolutely, of course. Yeah, your work is so important. So the Forever Strong playbook. Forever Strong obviously was a huge hit of a book. Tell me about this new spin-off that you've created for us.
This is a standalone book. This is the book that I wish that I had. And it is how to think, very cerebral, how to think, how to get out of your own way, how to think. It has visuals, super cool. How to eat.
Look at how good you look on the cover.
That is not airbrushed, my friend. What do you mean on the cover? I'm just kidding.
You're looking chiseled.
How to eat, exactly. Plate style, everything, grocery list, you name it, recipes, which they're amazing. How to eat, how to move. It has protocols for exercise. You do not need a gym. There's a million different ways to get it done. But this is a playbook. If you want X, let me deliver X. How to eat, how to think, how to move, how to recover.
I love it.
I'm very proud of this. I'm actually way more proud of this book than I am of the last one.
Wow.
Yeah. And I ever really say anything like, oh, wow, this is great? Never. You've never heard me say that.
Well, your books are like your children, so those are strong
Well, then
words.
I have a first unruly child, and this is my second well-behaved one, which, again, it has visuals in it. And that is, I spend a lot of time on these graphics as to how to construct. Some people are visual learners, and then some people can just read. But for me, I wanted, what does the visual plate look like? What do these work? I even have workouts in there. The whole thing with visuals. It's cool.
It's amazing. Very excited for it. Well, I love having you in. You're the best.
Are you going to have carbohydrates next time?
Of course, yes.
Gosh.
Baked potato, ready to go.
Okay.
Yeah.
You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to DoorDash it to your house so that it's there when I'm
Deal.
arriving.
And a big brontosaurus rib for you to gnaw on. Hey, if you like that video, you need to check out this one here, and I'll see you there.